You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast, your favorite night of the week, Tuesdays live at 9 p.m. on all your favorite social media accounts. We're live on all the platforms, not yet Rumble, but we're coming there soon. Don't you worry.
Oh my goodness!
Oh yes, we will be. All of our shows are there, but they aren't live yet. They will be soon.
Oh my goodness!
I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness is right.
I am goodness.
Your goodness. I do want to start off on a little bit of a somber note this week.
Oh no.
Hopefully we can get into the news and the headlines and all the movie goodness. We've got our review of John Wick Chapter 4 coming up, the big daddy on the block this past week, and of course it was quite the sequel. We'll talk about that, of course, and have our review. Got big news on Jonathan Majors getting arrested, but of course the big news of the week happened yesterday. Sadly, the tragedy in Nashville, a trans mental patient went in there and shot up a bunch of Christians, Christian kids at a private school in Nashville. We're going to say it. We're going to call it like it is, the way the mainstream media is not. And I hate to start off on such a sad and somber note. And we're a media podcast. We just talk about movies. We try to get out of what we typically, we try to break away from, the sad news of the day, simply because we want to actually come on here and be a little lighthearted and give you something.
Talk about movies. That's right.
Have a beer, have coffee, and enjoy talking about the pop culture of the day, the things that kind of allow us to, step away from the horrors and the realities of the day-to-day. But unfortunately, this is just such a big event. Our hearts go out to, of course, the families that have just been ripped apart down there, and just the sad loss of life from just mindless, senseless evil that is plaguing this country right now. For all those who want to talk about coming together, it is time to come together and come around and center on a morality that defeats evil. What happened yesterday should not be allowed to stand. Nobody should argue in favor or call a victim or victimize the person who perpetrated this. It is absolute evil. It is demonstrous, and we have to call it out for what it is. And we have to do our part by not just carrying on with our lives and doing what we can daily in our own communities to combat this. But it's time to call it out for what it is. And I think transgenderism is just an absolute plague on this earth. And it is, taking a form of mental illness and trying to push it out there in the ethos and make it something that is what everybody can just accept as normal. And it's not normal. These people need help. When they don't get the help and we just perpetuate to try to act like things are normal, this is the kind of evil that takes place. So with that, thoughts and prayers. Obviously, a lot of people will criticize for us using even that language, saying that's not enough. No, that's exactly what these families need in this time. That's what most of us can do, and the power of prayer is much more powerful than a lot of what people are pushing. You can try to legislate your way out of this. It doesn't work when your emotions are high and you legislate for, ridiculous reasons and create legislation that doesn't really solve the issue. And that's immediately what you saw from politicians, grandstanding and trying to push gun legislation that would do nothing to have stopped what happened yesterday. What needs to happen is these people need to be confronted, and they need to be stopped by actual sensible people, human beings on a moral level, and saying this is wrong and we don't need to permit this activity to happen or this behavior to happen. That's about all I'm going to say on that. I know that was a little bit of a rant. Sorry. I know I threw you all probably off. I didn't really say I was going to start out that way. I just think it needed to be said. I don't know what you all, if you all have any feelings on the matter, feel free to announce them or speak your piece here. But with that, if you all are okay, we'll continue with the show and talk about movies.
Okay.
Is that good? Y'all have anything to say or anything to add?
No, I'm good.
Good. Alrighty, guys. Let's dive right into it. The big one on the block, of course, yes, was John Wick Chapter 4. Well, I don't want to spoil anything before we get into the discussion. We may have some spoilers after the fact, but I guess we should just dive right into it. Here is our review of John Wick Chapter 4.
Having complained about Hollywood's endless franchise obsession profusely the last few weeks, it's ironic that the most entertaining films this year have also been franchise films. While Marvel and DC continue to flounder, Creed 3 became a success and one of our favorite films so far this year. Now Keanu Reeves and director Chad Stahelski bring us the fourth film in the John Wick franchise. The first film in the franchise not to be written by creator Derek Kolstad, who is busy overseeing the film as producer alongside spin-off film Ballerina and miniseries The Continental. Instead, John Wick Chapter 3 co-writer Shay Hatton picks up the reins where Kolstad left off. With Wick, portrayed by Keanu Reeves, planning his move against the High Table with the Bowery King, played by Lawrence Fishburne, John Wick Chapter 4 delivers the same adrenaline ride full of spectacle with well-produced set pieces, mesmerizing fights, and fast-paced choreography. Chapter 4 also offers up a solid conclusion to the narrative pieces begun in John Wick Chapter 2, never forgetting to reflect on where the series started or what drives John. Thus provides a satisfying wrap-up both narratively and emotionally to the John Wick story as we know it so far. With spin-offs already in the works and initial plans for a Chapter 5, which were put on hold to focus solely on the fourth film, one wonders though if this chapter is the definitive end. While on par with its predecessors, there are times Chapter 4 does begin to get a bit long-winded. Each movie gets a bit more over the top with set pieces and how much physical punishment characters can take while still getting up and walking away. And while the Wick franchise hasn't overstayed its welcome or nuked the fridge yet, the well-done wrap-up executed in this film provides a fitting closing chapter. While the first film was short and simple, managing to effectively generate an emotional connection to John, provide a backstory, believable motivation for his actions, mythos to a larger underworld, and entertaining action in a relatively short period of time, each subsequent edition is guilty of adding a little bloat to their films. While the overall mythos are still well done and John's motivation still believable, the movies don't evolve enough to justify Chapter 4's runtime. Mainly because the plot has remained simple enough while the action stays straightforward that the extra runtime tends to either go to creating unnecessary subplots or else towards extended fight scenes that don't always pay off. That said, Chapter 4 is still amongst the most fun and entertaining films to be released in the last several years. Sure, it could have done with trimming some of the fat, but it still delivers what fans expect from a John Wick movie. Add on the well-rounded way it wraps up the ongoing story, and Chapter 4 as is would give us a solid 4-chapter series with no need to overstay its welcome with more. If you are a fan of the first 3, Chapter 4 is a must-see. I give John Wick Chapter 4 3 out of 4 stars.
What better way to kick off the show than talking about a movie with just tons of action and guns, and violence, and just oh yeah.
Like there it is. Without guns, movies like this couldn't be made.
There you go.
I don't know.
That has no correlation to what we started the show off with.
No,
at all.
No.
But no, John Wick 3 out of 4 stars.
I like
John
that.
Wick 4.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Actually, I went 3.5.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Okay.
I
I gave the last one, I think, 3.5. And I mean, I liked it's hard because all of them are 3 or above. Like, I don't think there's one that's bad. I think they just kind of. It's funny because I'm going to nitpick because I'm not trying to knock it again. I like them all, but I do think that they do tend to have they don't evolve much, which isn't necessarily a problem. But at the same time, I thought with this one being quite a bit, not a whole lot longer, but still it was about close to 2.5. And I thought there were some subplots with all of the movies. They kind of do some subplots that aren't always correlating to what his goal is, but I just felt like this one, there were just times where I was like, certain characters, I felt like if you took them completely out of the movie, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, his goal was to get, free of the High Table, and the way in which he did that, he didn't necessarily, I think, have to do like I don't want to spoil things, but I mean
Yeah,
the German dude, he has to kill the Asian guy. Some of their subplots I just felt like weren't entirely necessarily, could have trimmed some fat there.
They've almost always, I think, apart from the first one, which really opens up with the main bad guy he's after, which is him bringing him back into this world that he's left. Every like 2, 3, and 4 all have like the arch nemesis, but after he's had a sub kill, like there's he's got to go take out this guy, and it's for a bigger purpose, and then it ends up turning
it's
out
almost video game-esque, which isn't a problem, but it's kind of like you got to beat the sub boss, and then you got to beat the big boss.
Right. And they do a good job. I ended up settling on 3 as well, and that was more so not because I was actually going back and forth between 3 and 3.5. 3 was only what I decided on simply because of the length of the film. It was 2 hours and 49 minutes.
Okay, it was over 2.5.
Okay. It was long. It was almost pushing 3 hours. And here's the thing, there were 2 major set pieces, one at the beginning and one towards the middle, that really revived it for me and really pushed it over the edge of possibly going to that 3.5. But I agree, there were just certain things. Sean, I think you would attest to this too. I think you mentioned it right after we walked out of the theater. I forget, I don't know the actor's name. He's a newer actor, the black guy, who kind of becomes he's more of a bounty hunter in this film, is the way I would describe it. He's more or less taking on the challenge of John Wick, and you kind of get this feel that this film is building him up as being the next, or I don't want to say the next John Wick, but the one who can really take him on, other than the actual assassins that you've seen kind of compare to him throughout, who he's worked alongside, and they don't want to fight him because they know how good he is. And there were a few slight moments where I'm always for stretching the believability when it comes to the action.
Each movie gets a little bit more over the top than the last.
Got a little bit it got a little bit overwhelming, some of the stuff he survived, where I'm just like,
Shamir Anderson is his name.
Shamir Anderson.
Yeah.
He's definitely a newer. This is his breakout role. I haven't seen him in anything else.
I've seen him in other.
Does it list his other credits? What other major stuff he's been in? But I don't know. I ultimately came down on 3 and was very happy with it. The one scene at the very end, it's not spoiling anything. There's a staircase scene.
Yeah.
And I thought the action was good up until he gets to the top, and then there's like a funny, like everybody in the theater was laughing, and I think it was meant to be comical, but I thought it was just a little bit too comical for this kind of film, where he just ends up going up this huge flight of stairs and then ends up basically falling all the way back down to start over again. And I thought that was a little bit too much at that point.
I think the movie that we've all seen him in was Stowaway. He was one of the main characters in. Well, he was the Stowaway. He's the.
I don't think I saw Stowaway.
Yeah, you did.
Was that on Netflix?
That was the one where the stowaway in the spaceship, and
I thought
it was like he wasn't really a stowaway because he got hurt in the ship, and
not the Cloverfield movie.
That's what I'm thinking. It was Cloverfield Paradox.
That's the one with Anna Kendrick.
Yeah,
I never saw that.
I reviewed it.
Yeah, we reviewed it.
And I don't know if I watched it. I seriously don't. I don't know if I remember watching that. Huh. If I did, it was definitely forgettable because I don't remember anything about it.
It is forgettable. It wasn't. Yeah. We didn't review it kindly.
Okay. Well, maybe I did see it. And I just I forgot all about it.
Yeah,
it was a bad movie.
I forgot.
It was supposed to be like Netflix's big sci-fi space movie that they were coming out with that wasn't very good. But
I mean. So why did you settle on 3, Sean? What'd you?
I went 3.5.
Or 3.5.
I was thoroughly entertained. I didn't mind the length of the film. The only scene that I thought dragged on a little longer than it should have was the staircase scene. I thought there were other scenes that were long, but I wanted more of it, especially the Dragon's Breath scene with the over-the-top camera work. Looking down like from above.
Yeah, the shotgun. Yeah.
If they would have done more of that and less stairs, I would have been fine. I loved everything about it. It fit with the world of John Wick. It brought some other characters back, and I felt like I can't think of his name. He was the manager. I can't think of his name in the movie though.
He's been in all
they
of
always just refer to no, not that they brought him back. I felt like at the end of the third movie, they kind of make you think that he is becoming a bad guy, but he's redeemed in this, and I just felt like the way they handled even the concierge and what happens with him towards the beginning of the film, which has nothing to do with the actor's actual death or anything like that. I don't think
this was already
filmed,
scripted and filmed,
but
yeah.
I thought that was done well. It was that death or that thing that happens at the beginning that kind of gets you going, and once it furders the revenge,
and almost by happenstance too, that it ended up being a real life tragedy that he passed soon before this released. I mean, and to the point of like it didn't even have like a
his
in
character's
memory
been
of,
in all of the films, and I thought like it was a worthy. It had meaning and purpose in the film, and I felt like it carried on throughout the film. But there was really the only things about the film I didn't like, and I voiced it after the film, was that I did not like the character of this Shamir Anderson. I thought that his character was completely unnecessary throughout the film, and the back and forth that was played between him hunting John Wick and waiting for the money to get to the right amount before he would actually do anything. But then he immediately, all it takes is John Wick sparing his life for 1 second for him to just give up the money that he's been seeking throughout the entire film. Like there hasn't been any real remorse or emotion from him until that one moment. I'm like, that wasn't enough to warrant that. He broke character.
It was almost like there's just like machismo, like I have respect for you because of what you've gone through.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you finish. Like I agree. It wasn't. I knew what they were building towards. I didn't think it was developed well. Yeah. Considering everything else they had to cram into the film.
Well, I felt like the third movie, what really stood out to me in that movie was the dogs. And I think that it was kind of like, well, people really responded well to the whole dog thing in the third movie, so we got to put another dog in this movie.
This one was well better.
And it was, but it was just, that's kind of all I felt like it was. I was like, okay, you had this shtick in the third movie, now you're carrying it into the fourth movie, and that's the only purpose for it. You could have left his character out of the film, and I felt like it would have been just fine. And then the other gripe that I had was the storyline between the guy that runs the Japanese hotel and his daughter, and what transpires between the daughter and
Kane,
the blind guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Kane was awesome.
I thought that was kind of.
I think
there was.
Did you see the after credit?
Yeah, we
scene?
saw the after credit scene, but if you don't see the after credit scene, you're kind of left wondering, well, what happened with that storyline? Because it's like, if you don't kill him, I will.
Well, they are making
and then
more.
There's going to be a spinoff.
There's already two already in development.
Yeah.
Ballerina's going to be released, I think, maybe next year. It's already filming.
Without a doubt.
And then they're doing a mini-series called The Continental, which is about the Continental.
Yep.
So.
Well, there's been rumors, and that's all they are, that there may at some point be a John Wick and Nobody crossover.
The Lionsgate executive, I meant to send that to you today. Even he said today that they are heavily considering.
Still tossing that around.
Because this one did so well, and like their original plan was to do 4 and 5 together, and then they scrapped the idea of a fifth one and we'll just go all in on this one. So
should we break ranks and spoiler alert and talk a little bit about how it wrapped up?
We can. I mean, if you want to hop off the show for a
spoiler
few minutes,
alert! Play a couple.
I mean, I don't think it's a big secret that there's been. Has there been 2 films now that you think John Wick is dead at the end?
He's faked his death before.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that it's another.
He's not been dead in the ground though.
I would argue that. We don't know that either.
We don't know that he's in the ground.
You don't see anything. You see him
you see a tombstone. Like, how many times have we seen that in a movie?
Yeah.
He
might not be in there at all. He faked his death so he can go off and live his life with the memory of his wife.
And I actually would be okay with that. I would be okay if it's. I can't remember. Maybe it was one of you that
when
brought
I was
up.
recording the review, I said I'd be okay if they waited, maybe 10 years and did like a Balboa thing.
Yes.
Where he comes back gray and he's training the like he gets reeled back in for one final mission and it's like a passing of the torch thing, like Balboa decreed. But like that way, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. He went.
But here's the thing. But the way the conclusion is with him being given his freedom in this, and he's done this roundabout journey, and they've now said your debt's paid.
Your debt is paid.
You're a free man.
Yeah.
Why would he have to go into hiding? Is it because He knows inevitably something's going to happen where he's going to be
It's
brought
happened
back
4
out.
times already. So
Well, yeah.
Well, part of them strung to get, but I think it's
Presumably
more of a,
from the first movie, and then I would argue the
every
first
time
movie,
he kills somebody, he thinks it's over, and then it's there's
it's
another
one of those things
guy.
where
But
not
I will
necessarily
say-
he has to go into hiding, but maybe he's just I'd rather just go into seclusion and be left
Yeah.
alone, and hopefully nobody.
Yeah, they could do
the
another
first-
movie and start it off with the whole ending scene of this, and then it's like in the background you see him standing behind a tree watching them, watching them at his
that would be
funeral.
cliche
and
at
then,
all.
yeah, no, I'm just saying, but that's
But no,
there's a lot of
the
cliche
first-
in these films.
The first movie was definitely much more in and of itself an only film.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
kind of like okay. I mean, I thought they did a great job
'Cause
with 2
honestly,
and 3
2,
carrying on the story.
2, 3,
Yeah.
and 4 almost form like kind of a trilogy with number 1 acting as almost a prologue now because
Right.
of the way it was a standalone, but then it does lead into how everything happens. It builds the world,
and
then
I
the
do
crux
like
of
the way
story
they
is the next
layered
3.
on the different parts of the world in each one. However, it was almost like when the second movie, number 2 and 3 end on cliffhangers. They end with because even when he falls off the building and gets shot, where you think I'm forgetting the manager's name too.
I know the actor, but I don't remember because I love the actor.
I just like the way he's like Baba Yaga. But basically he shoots him. You think he's turning, but
Right.
he really uses it as a way for him to get away.
Yeah.
And when they go down there and his body's gone, and she's like, I want to see his body. Like she knows he's out there.
That's right.
Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Ian
so-
McShane's the actor.
But it's funny because that's like you knew with those 2 films they specifically ended on cliffhangers for a reason. This one I felt like was much more definitive. And they might have done that as a teaser. They might have done that to string you along. But my point is sometimes Hollywood, as we've seen, more prevalent now than ever, doesn't know when to let a good thing go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And so it would be really awesome if the way this one ends, and I think my score over time, believe it or not, if this truly is kind of the end of Keanu Reeves' John Wick story, even if they do side projects or whatnot, he may
Yeah.
be making a cameo or something, it will actually push this one to be a higher rank in my mind. Because believe it or not, the odd thing is even though I settled on 3, I still think other than maybe the original, just because, like you said, it was the jump start, I ended up liking this one a lot better for the fact that I thought the choreographed fights were much more finessed and thought out.
Yeah.
There were a lot of other cool moments in some of the set pieces in 2 and 3, but I binge watched it leading up to 4.
I think the emotional payoffs there too.
Yes.
Bringing it back around to his. I mean, it's not that the plot line of like all of this, because obviously it's about more than just the dog in the first movie. The connection has always been his wife.
Yeah.
And it's not that that's lost in 2 or 3, but you get into the string of, I mean, he's on the run, he has to, survive, and then he's out to like become free of the high table. I like that they remind you and bring everything back around to this movie of, well, why is it that you want to be free of the high table in the first place? It's because
Right.
of like everything that's happened with your wife. So I like
Yeah.
the fact that you get the
and I'm not gonna
emotional
lie,
payoff.
there is some intrigue there in terms of like I kind of wanted to meet some of the high table. I
Yeah.
thought we were going to in this one,
Maybe
or
maybe we will in the
Yeah.
spinoff. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. There's enough open-ended questions that are for the bigger puzzle pieces that can remain open-ended for the mythos.
Yeah.
Or that could be, I say could because again, everybody gets carried away now with franchises. That could be, easily told in other spinoffs.
Yeah.
I just feel like I hope this is not one franchise they drive into the ground like Fast
Yeah.
and the Furious.
They could.
They could. And if this is the end of John Wick's story, but they continue to make spinoffs, I'd be perfectly okay with that. I don't want it to get to something like Marvel or Star Wars or Star Trek where you have multiple things coming out in the same year. It's like, look, you have a John Wick movie now. Next year, the year after, you'll have the spinoff. I don't know when the miniseries is planned to come out, but it's like, 1 or 2 things a year is fine.
Yeah.
When they start getting into, now we got 3 or 4 shows and we got 2 or 3 movies, it's like, it's too big. You can't keep track of it. It's like, just let there be a project every 2 or 3 years.
I think it'd be
or
neat
so.
too if they carried on with the Nobody story, and you have him who's in a similar situation where he's got a past that he's trying to escape, and now they've found him again, and I feel like that would be an awesome story to have, this next film of Nobody, but then it's like, how do I get out of this? Well, you've heard of John Wick, like he got out of it, and it's like, what if he sought him out for help? And they have this crossover film where
They had
Wick
talked
comes
about
back to
doing
help
that,
him
yeah.
get out of whatever he's in, and then you've got Maybe that would be
Bob
the true
Odenkirk
end.
and Keanu
But
Reeves fighting
my
together.
God. Like, could you imagine? That would be great.
They said they had considered doing that, like after the success of Nobody, and they said, but any movie they made, they said definitely like it wouldn't be a Batman v Superman. They said it would make no sense to pit them against each other. Whatever movie they make, they said they would be on the same side. It's like,
and also,
I appreciate that though, because everybody does want to pit the heroes against each other.
Well, they pit them against each other, but they end up fighting together by the end
because they realize they're both good guys.
But
and
no,
it's
let's
stupid.
just skip. Let's skip.
You don't
that
want to see
and
Bob Odenkirk hanging over Keanu.
Yeah.
Why did you say that name?
This guy's been through the same thing, so he could help Bob Odenkirk.
Well, let's think about it too. I think it was one of the trailers before the movie. Is another project that this same director, or at least was it the director or the producers?
I think it says from the people who brought you John Wick or something like that.
And it's the Nazi film.
Yes,
that is set.
Yeah, that's I don't think connected to.
No. But my point is like I like the fact that
the same feel.
The same feel, but a totally different storyline. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. Like, let's start something new. Let's do something fresh. I'm okay with that. I actually it gave me hope that they're not going to drive this series into the ground. But
the producers like the fact that it's the highest grossing one.
Well, of course.
The executive producer said that they're going to consider it.
Well, after Shazam and Ant-Man both came out, part of the comic book universes, and they've flopped miserably.
That's because they were garbage.
But again, they're high-profile films that were supposed to garner this kind of following from fans, and they didn't.
And that's the problem. It's like, people will come to see movies like John Wick. People flock to see Top Gun. Creed did really well. You haven't ran those franchises into the ground, and they've only been like releases. Top Gun was 30 years apart, but Creed, has been several years in between. The John Wick movies have been a few years between. So
like heaven forbid you actually give time for people to feel nostalgia about a franchise before you actually do another film.
And it is. It's. I don't want to see them see. I don't know why Hollywood still has this massive connected universe mindset now that you can see DC and Marvel. People are getting tired of it.
I think Marvel started it. I think it was the success of Marvel.
And it makes sense. No, completely. They did start it. And
they see cash cow.
Yeah.
The big studios now see that this can be a success, and they think.
But everyone else has failed except for Marvel, and now Marvel's beginning to fade.
Isn't it weird, though? Because when you do this universe thing, you kind of, it seems to me like they're almost using it as a cop-out to not have to come out with original content.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It's like we can just milk this and we don't have to be creative.
Yeah.
And that's all I see it as, because we're losing originality with all of these universes and trilogies and all of this stuff. And I feel like it's like John Wick was an original thing. And I like that they've carried it through 4 movies. But again, it's like once you get it into the spinoffs and all this other stuff, then it starts to kind of dwindle.
I think it does have to do, and we've talked about it at extensive lengths on the show before, but it's like you have these studios who are pushing and perpetuating woke agenda crap into their films. And I think when that becomes a major focus, and studios are not dumb. They have an accountant. They know if a certain film is going to meet certain criteria. Now, every once in a while, you'll get subtleties in certain films that take off and become popular, and then of course that leaves. Yeah. That leads them, and of course all the wokesters out there be like, see, it can be successful, and it's like, no, subtleties are when people just don't get the culturally what's going on. It's milquetoast at best. But then I think they also have to take in the consideration in the back of their minds, well, to support this, we need a sure thing. We need a sure bet. Boom, that's where the franchise come in. The studios see it as, this is something easy that we can support all these other films that we're willing to take risks on, and ultimately that we're willing to take a hit on if they do flop. We know we have these tentpole franchises that are going to support us. Only recently, with the debacles that Marvel has produced, and of course all these other franchises failing, whether it's the Monster Universe, DCU doing its reboot. You have the Ghostbusters franchise.
Fast and the Furious. They did one spinoff, and now they're just like, well, The Rock's out, so I guess we're just ending everything.
Let's wrap it. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
And so you have these failed franchises where now that model, people are no longer willing to just go and see a movie because it's attached to a continual story. Because I think you have people not only yearning for something original, but it's getting to be too exhausting.
Can't keep track of all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to invest so much time in these things, and it's like, who has that amount of time when maybe you just want to go to the theater and watch things
And when your
blow
franchise ends with flying monster locust, you just don't care anymore. I mean,
up. And yet they're still making
and
another one of
then
those.
it's not going to end either.
Yeah.
So
Gosh, I can't believe it.
And then you have Disney with the remakes, and it's like you just shared the other day about the Aristocrats being remade.
Oh, he shared that.
Yeah, with like half live action, half, and I'm just like,
It says hybrid live action. I'm wondering if that's just now what they're going to call like Lion King, because it's like I think
oh, okay.
I think
they
some
can't
people,
call it live action because there's nothing
I think
living
not live.
at all.
Well, people
Yeah.
have read the hybrid. I've seen other people online kind of assume this too, and they're thinking it's going to be like 2D or not just
Real
necessarily
people
2D,
in it?
animation,
Real
and real
people and animated cats.
But I think that's going to be realistic CGI cats like Lion King, but they're just calling it hybrid now.
It's going to be a carbon copy like all of the other remakes have been. I mean, look at the latest Little Mermaid trailer. Sealed it for me. It is going to be shot for shot like the original, just like Lion King was.
Change up.
They'll have
things,
nuances,
yeah.
and the nuances will be for diversity's sake, just like her being her color.
Well, some of the
skin
plot
color
stuff they
changing.
changed too, but not
Well,
the major.
they
just
specifically
little...
mentioned that even her character and the way she doesn't need Prince Charming to save
No,
her.
yeah, they
There's
said
just
that
modern
the
storytelling.
original Ariel, I guess, was too vain. You know, she only wanted to leave for a man, but this Ariel has other goals,
Ambition.
and I'm just like, what?
She's gonna be the CEO
the whole
of a
point
company.
Is she dreams of
her literal purpose in the original was she wanted gadgets and gizmos.
But they're saying, honestly,
Plenty.
but when the original starts out, she just wants to know what life on the surface
Right,
is like. She
yeah.
falls in love with the prince after the
Yeah.
fact. So it's not really.
She's already in love with the things
the
of
surface
the
world.
surface world.
So
yeah.
honestly, they got that wrong about the original anyway. So they don't even know what movie they're remaking.
No.
Well, and that's kind of the telltale sign of Disney right now.
I think they're just trying to make you forget the originals.
They're in an
by
identity
replacing
crisis.
them with
all they can
something
do
new.
is live off the legacy of the original. And so they recreate it thinking they're going to draw in new and old audiences, but the jig has been up since Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
All of these live action films have not only they've been successful at the box office because they're presumably things you can take your kid to go see, and a lot of parents
Not
do.
anymore.
I think most are catching on to that,
Yeah.
especially with the Lightyear debacle. But ultimately, I really do believe most people are just like, what are you giving me lately?
I know.
Like, come on,
People
what
are
is
tired
this?
of seeing the same. It's like that's all Disney does now is franchise that, or they're still trying to turn rides into movies, and they were successful with Jungle Cruise. I'll
Yeah.
give them that, but Haunted Mansion doesn't look good.
Well, they're rebooting Haunted Mansion
That's what
from
I'm
a
saying.
film that had already been made.
well,
and flopped.
again, it's not supposed to be a reboot of that film. It's just
No.
supposed to be a new
Yeah.
But
movie based on the
why-
ride.
Again, it's like, stop with it. Like, create new IP. And I know what they would say. Well, that's what we have Disney Plus for. And it's like, well, it's floundering,
Which is
because
getting the Peter Pan live action, I
Right.
think either next month, like it's coming out soon.
So another one.
And it's garbage because we just got a trailer of it like a few weeks ago. It comes out in a month, and it's going straight to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
it's going
Yeah,
to be
they're
a
not
garbage
planning.
movie.
Yep.
It's a garbage movie.
And when they do come out with a new IP, like Strange World, it's
it's
woke.
blatantly,
Yeah, yeah. And nobody goes and sees it.
Laden with the crap from
I
today.
just now saw today. This isn't woke. It's just, but it's actually surprised me because Elementals is supposed to be Pixar's next big one that comes out this summer, and I just now saw like a little banner for it online, and I was thinking about that because I was like, I've not even seen a trailer for that for something that's like. They're like hyping up.
See, that
as, like,
worries me
Soul
because
or Inside Out.
yeah.
It's like if it's supposed to be the next one of those.
they advertise those like a year in
Yeah.
advance, and I feel like because of Lightyear, because here's with that and Strange World, the news of the homosexual themes came out way early, and nobody went and saw it. They knew ahead of time, so they didn't go see it. And I think with anything new like Elemental, they're gonna have to hide that fact. They're going to have to. I don't think they're going to be as open about it as they
no
have,
doubt.
because they are realizing that, well, when we're open about this, people don't come and see it. So I think they're going to keep that out of trailers. If there is anything like that in it, they're going to keep it out of the trailers, and they're going to keep it out of the media. And the only way you're going to find out is a week before it comes out, when there's an early screening and somebody says something. And that's it.
We're gonna talk a little bit about it in the headlines after we talk about Jonathan Majors, but that is actually, one of the biggest things that happened this past week is the first round of huge layoffs that Disney's begun.
Yeah.
So Bob Iger, I think, is definitely playing things close to the chest. He's wanting to guard any IP that they do have forthcoming in terms of trying to make sure things don't leak, trying to make sure things don't get bad press. He's willing to be very strategic because he knows that Disney is taking.
Well, that's
a
what
hit.
he was brought back for. He was brought back to try to course correct Disney before they
Do you
choose
think
whoever will
he'll
be their next
try
CEO.
to hide those elements,
If he
or do you
thinks
think
it'll
he
help,
will get those elements out?
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh no, he's more
that's-
likely to hide than to
right,
get rid of.
right.
He knows he knows he can't risk the wrath.
I can see him dialing
of,
it down some.
Well, I was going to say he can't risk the wrath of that community because, of course, then they'll boycott it or they'll boycott Disney because, again, they have this moral.
Yeah.
The last thing you need is more bad press on a family-oriented company. The problem is that's the issue with Disney is they've not been focused on the family, who is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
And so now
They've been
turned
focused
their
on the
back.
community,
Well,
not
yeah,
the family.
but the community that doesn't necessarily
The LGBT
consume or
community.
make up the majority of
No,
their consumers.
absolutely not. Yeah.
So that's been their problem is that Bob Iger's coming in saying, all right, we're done with this crap. We're done pushing quality over quantity or quantity over quality. And ultimately we need to get back to our roots and trying to figure that out. And I think he's definitely going to underplay any kind of ideology that may
I
be
think we can
laden.
also get more into this too.
I know. We're kind of going into our
Yeah,
headline.
let's-
Maybe
yeah.
you know what? Let
We
me just
should. I think
let's
we're
just
done with-
roll
yeah.
the open
With-
for the headlines. Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, we were starting to talk about franchises at Disney. It's like
Yeah.
we stopped talking about John Wick like 10 minutes
We
ago.
did at least.
Yeah.
I didn't have to
John
lower
Wick's
the-
good. Go see it.
No,
Enough
it
said.
is. It was. It
Yeah.
was. I really like it.
But no, let's
I think it's a solid series.
we're
Yeah.
already there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Disney. The layoffs are coming this week, 7,000 in total right now in the first wave. Another wave. This is what was crazy to me. The next wave is in next month in
Yep.
April. The next wave is in May. So I'm like 3 waves back to back in 3 months. I'm like, this is not a
No, he's
we're
cleaning
just
house.
kind of I mean they are cutting back profusely.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with just the beating they've taken, not only from Chapek, but again, the board set this up when Iger passed the torch on to Chapek.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things were in play and in motion when Iger was at the helm. Because you can go along to get along for so long, but when the chickens come home to roost, it doesn't matter who's getting blamed for what.
Yeah.
The fact is when you perpetuate a kind of culture that ultimately disincentivizes the main people who are going to consume your product, they're going to catch on and they're going to abandon ship. They're going to jump overboard. And that's exactly what I think you've seen in the last year is this debacle of not only Marvel and just the phase 4. I mean, we can go back to last week in our cover story there that it actually broke that Alonzo, forgetting her first name, she did not quit. She actually was let go. They fired her.
Victoria.
Yeah.
Alonso.
Victoria Alonso
Yeah,
was
good riddance.
fired last week. She not only took over, what was it, post-production? She was not only head of post-production and production.
She was head of visual effects.
Visual
Yeah.
effects, and a lot of people have criticized the visual effects over the last
They've
several
been
years.
awful, and because it's one of those things where honestly, when I've seen the cuts he's made so far, I can't say I disagree. Again, this isn't going to give us any indication of whether Disney's movies will actually return to quality, like Bob Iger is saying, because we don't know what that means to them. I mean, we know what we think it means to them so far, and that's not quality. But yeah, I think because the recent cuts he did make were about them developing for the whole meta thing that I was just like, you know what? I'm not saying let's not explore and further VR technology because obviously all technology has an infancy period that has to be developed. But I say good for him for not going into a field that you don't know anything about yet, you're not ready for. It's just Disney to be like, oh, this is going to be something big. We don't know what we're doing, but we want a part of it. And they do that with everything before they even know what they have. And that's how they end up with franchises and stuff that end up being garbage.
Major entertainment studios, major big tech companies, that's kind of the next big thing.
Yeah.
Is it's like when you get to a certain degree of being so big, you're looking for where's the next market we can penetrate? What's the next, area we can dip our toe in and see if we can make a
But
buck off
if you're
of it.
beginning to hemorrhage money or you're losing customers and audiences, then I agree with Iger. It's one of those things let's focus on what we have and making it good first.
Apple did this back in the 90s. It was bleeding money, and they brought back Steve Jobs, and I almost fear they're kind of heading down that path
Can't
again.
bring him back again this time.
No, he's gone. But it's funny because it's like the big issue they fought with in the 90s was they were spread too thin. They had too many product lines. They didn't have any kind of major focus. And when you lose sight of what is making your product line or your even your service line your bread and butter, when you forget about those people who are coming there for one thing in particular, and you stop doing that really, really well, it's not a sure thing anymore. And I think that's ultimately what Iger's trying to do with these layoffs is, and that's the thing, these are not just low-level employees.
No,
These are across the board. I mean, a majority of them probably are, because you're talking in your service industry and your parks, you're talking about the worldwide, scope of what, Disney covers. I mean, they got like 150,000 employees. They're a huge company. But you take that into consideration, and they're also firing these heads that they feel like maybe have gotten a little out of control. They've gotten a little heavy-handed with,
I'm hoping
certain
that's the
decision-making
reason,
skills.
That maybe it's one of those things that they realize, you do need a lighter hand, and let's get rid of the people who are clearly, rather than focusing on quality and storytelling, are focusing only on agenda. But again, that's, I think, more of a hopeful thing, that they're like, let's focus back on the story. Now, we don't know for sure until they start releasing new movies. And even still, it's going to be another 2 to 3 years, because they already have stuff in production.
Everything we're talking about
the next at least 2 years is stuff that's already been in the works. So you're not going to really have a clear indication of what even Bob Iger did for a little bit.
But then wasn't part of the deal of Iger coming back that it was only going to be
2 years?
2 years. So I mean, it's literally so that he can prep the next wave of the CEO coming in, but also to write the course of new releases that he's not even going to oversee by the time they finally are ready to release.
Yeah.
Like, how is there any confidence there that that's going to actually come to fruition?
I think the hope is, he puts in motion writing the course, and then is able to actually, like he wanted to do with Chapek, is be with the next person and transition. But my problem with that is, if that's the idea, they still haven't named any successor or any. Yeah. It's like, if you want him to actually guide this person the way he was going to guide Chapek, then you should already have them picked, and at least maybe not within the first year of his 2-year contract, but I mean, at some point when you know that he's going and the new one's coming in, and you don't want to have another mishap of Chapek just coming in bullheaded saying, I already know everything I need to know, be gone. But we'll see. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of the pain that we've expected. It's the layoffs we've also seen in big tech. I think you've seen these companies kind of swell over the course of the last few years, not only based on popularity of certain things, but also when you had the COVID boom where tons of people had tons of money to spend. They spent it on these extremities that I think now are people are tightening their belts because of inflation, because the economy's not doing great. And the first place that you see that is within tech that you don't need and within entertainment that you don't need. And even though there is some value, they're trimming the fat. And ultimately, even in the value that is something like Disney Plus, again, it's hard because it's just like with Netflix. You don't see internal numbers specifically for what's streaming, so you don't know what's successful. Yeah. But you always know when Netflix, after a season of a show, cuts something, and you're like, oh, well, we know nobody watched that. So it's like the writing's on the wall after the fact. But can these companies continue to afford major losses on these huge projects?
Yeah, some of the things, though, that they've cut have been things that were widely successful.
Well, critically, but not, we don't know. Yeah. I was going to say that they cut things due to systemic racism. It's a diversity problem. You had to. I could not bring it up. When I read that article about that, I don't even remember what the show was, but I was like, nobody watched that show because I never even heard of it. And their argument was that it was...
Keith's like, if I haven't heard of it, then nobody watched it.
That's our litmus test right there.
I don't have a life. I just sit at home and watch things all day.
If he hasn't heard of it, it ain't worth watching.
But it was just one of those things where I was sitting here, it's like, it had nothing to do... So if you're basically saying you can't cancel a show that doesn't make any money if it's about a diverse topic because therefore
of course
you're racist. But it's like, so basically you should be made to go bankrupt producing a show that earns you no money just because of the topic, the subject matter.
And this is the reason we're in the situation we're in. Because this is what these companies have allowed to fester, and they've welcomed it in because they thought it was going to be... I mean, look, the problem is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And these people know how to organize. They know how to raise a lot of, they know how to get together and raise a lot of chatter on social media. Yeah. And then also they got other media companies that come to bat. I mean, think of just all the different media conglomerations that are work hand in hand. I mean, ABC and Disney owns ABC, and it's just like you have a major news outlet that doesn't purport any real news. It is based on through a filter of leftism and wokeism. So it's like, how can you expect that to change, your perspective of how you manage up on high when you're constantly in this bubble of not hearing any other opinions? Well, the biggest opinion you have from the outside is when people don't tune in to watch this crap. And the same with Disney Plus. We all knew Disney Plus was going to be a success, even when the streaming, they were the first real competition for Netflix. But the problem is you have so many different streaming services competing for your eyeballs and competing for your attention, and you have so many now that have different back catalogs that it may or may not be worthwhile. But also when you have the laissez-faire approach that most of these streaming services have to adopt by definition because it's the most practical of people coming and going as they please, you're not getting a steady stream. You're getting a steady, here's an increase, here's a bad, here's people coming and going, and here's subscriber loss.
Yeah, people now are subscribing basically for specific shows. It's like, okay, I'll subscribe and watch Mandalorian because it's the only thing on Disney Plus I want to watch, and then once that's out, then I will, subscribe for a month, then
let it lapse,
then go. Same thing with all the streaming services. People are just basically now picking and choosing when there's a series they want to watch. You pay your $15 or $20 for, for Disney it's even cheaper. You got $8. So it's one of those things where it's like, why spend close to $100 for a whole year's worth of service if there's only one or two things you want to watch anyways?
I think it's part of the reason that even somebody like Disney did the bundle with Hulu. I know they own Hulu, but it's like, if you watch a bunch of stuff on Hulu and you're getting a better deal by having Hulu, ESPN, Nat Geo, and Disney.
I have the bundle.
Yeah, I have the bundle too.
Because it is cheaper.
But it's like, if there's nothing on Disney, at least I'm getting Hulu, and it's cheaper to bundle it. So it's like they count on that because now you've got all of the streaming services, even though you may not be tuning into one other than for Mandalorian or something like that. But we watch Hulu more than Disney now. The only reason we watch Disney is to watch the classics.
The old stuff.
Yeah, the old stuff.
And even then, I think it's interesting because again, and Iger's pointed to the fact that they want quality over quantity. And when you are competing with these other platforms that continue to push out, either one, arguably better things in terms of quality, or also just, again, there's so much content out there that if I'm not returning to something, a classic on Disney Plus, I'm watching something new on HBO Max or on Netflix. I'm watching the next big talked about thing. The Last of Us just wrapped up and I didn't even finish it.
Yeah, I didn't.
I stopped about halfway through, and it's like part of that was because I played the game and that's all I need to experience. But I just think it's interesting that the Disney Plus seemed to be like the supreme, this is going to come in, this is going to be the only thing that can compete with Netflix. They're going to ultimately reach a either higher or at peak level with Netflix, and they're going to be another one of the mainstays of you got to have this service. But the interesting part about that is that they have released milquetoast content and pushed things that people don't want to watch. And even the back catalog may be enticing enough to keep most people there. You also have other things where people are protesting because of the other content that they are releasing, and they're saying, I'm not having it. I'm turning it off. I'll find content otherwhere, in other places. So, time will tell, like you said, Keith. We're going to continue to obviously follow Disney and what they pursue, but, so far they've not given us any indication. And the proof is in the pudding, and it's going to be a long time before we see that pudding.
We'll have to see.
It's going to be a while.
General pudding pop.
That's right. And all right, let's move on to our big
pops.
Big
Pop. Pow.
Jonathan Majors is arrested. What?
Yeah.
That guy who was in Creed 3, that guy?
He was just trying to test out his boxing moves. Come on.
Yeah.
He said, hey, honey, look at this.
A little too into character.
Southpaw.
Yeah.
Southpaw.
It's not even a southpaw in the movie. I just,
Southpaw.
Come on, baby, 9 rounds. Let's go.
Yeah, which I think, was it today that she recanted the story? Or was
I think it was all in the same day.
Oh, wow.
The news broke. Was it? Yeah, it was on Monday. Wasn't it?
I believe.
Wait.
It
was
had
Sunday.
happened
It was like
fast.
Sunday.
Was it Sunday?
Sunday, because I sent it was like
sent the
Sunday or
link on
Saturday. that the news
I believe
broke.
was it like they were in the back of a cab because there's video footage. There was supposedly
Apparently.
an eyewitness, which would be the
Allegedly,
cab driver, allegedly, because she recanted the story and is apparently even saying that once they get the footage, or his lawyer saying once they get the footage and the testimony from the witness, it's all a nothing burger. So presumably he's innocent.
Well, wait, we didn't even say what he was charged for.
Oh, for
Assault
assault.
and battery.
It says he smacked her about the face. That's the wording.
About the face.
About the
and
face.
grabbed her
Like,
neck.
who talks
And grabbed
like
her
that?
neck and bruised it. There was a laceration behind the ear from the slap.
It should say upside,
Yeah.
not about.
About.
But then
It's
you
like, that's
hear
too
that,
white. It
that
would
the
be,
story
"Smack me
was
upside the
recanted
face."
and that all the evidence points to. It's one of those things where I'm just like, how many people? Like, again, we don't know whether he's guilty or innocent, but of course, in this country, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
So I'm going to assume.
But
based
the
on
Army, which honestly, one of some of the best
Yeah.
ads I've seen from the Army in a long
already
time,
pulled, his
played
ads.
throughout all of March Madness, and they pulled those immediately. And they said, "Well, pending the investigation and when the trial takes place, we'll." Or if he's cleared, then we're just gonna pull him for right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, gosh sakes, this is
But
like you said, proven
but-
innocent or innocent
But they
until
do
proven
this
guilty.
to everybody. Every time something, and I get it.
Hashtag
I mean,
me
I know
too.
PR. It's like, oh, if he did do it, then that's horrible. It's like, but why don't we wait? Why don't we actually wait to see if they are guilty? Because PR wise, it's like the court of public opinion is going to be crazy on either side, no matter what. I mean, there's people that are always going to say, "Oh no, he did it." And there's people that are always going to say, "No, he didn't." I mean, that's
No, he
politics.
didn't.
That's
The
politics.
only-
That's
He
politics. I mean,
The only one where it's 100% fact is that Baldwin killed somebody.
yeah, we know that. That
we
one
know
happened.
that he killed Helena. Hutchins.
Nobody's in doubt of that one.
No, yeah, that's
That
100%.
Johnny Depp's innocent. Apparently, everybody was on board
Yeah.
with that one. Too.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, Amber Heard pretty much.
Yeah.
She testified her crazy right on the stand.
I know, man.
I mean, it was.
If
She
Jonathan
really-
Majors was
she
as
shit the
popular
bed
as
on that
Johnny
one.
Depp, nobody would have any concern. That was good.
But no, I don't know. It's like I happen to tend to fall in line with Jonathan Major's side only because I'm sure there was a scuffle. I'm sure there was some kind of argument. They were getting hot and heavy.
Brandon says, "Look, every now and then you got to backhand them."
Look, I've always said order abuse. Okay, there's a difference. But now somebody's gonna pull that out.
Somebody's.
of context.
It's like this.
Look at this white
awful.
male. It's so
Believe it.
terrible. He's a
This white
terrible
male.
person. Ugh, just that privilege. But no, we'll see what happens. Apparently, Jonathan Major's lawyers immediately came out and said this is false. We have the video
I
evidence.
mean, Disney
we're turning
hasn't
over
dropped it
everything.
yet, so we're good. He's still king.
Yeah, he's turning over all the video evidence, so presumably we'll know the full story. But yeah, it's a little crazy that this just Jonathan Majors is an up and coming star, really out of the last few
I mean,
months.
the whole Marvel's new phases
Kane.
are centered around him, so it is kind of one of those things.
Devotion from last
As soon
year.
as I
Yeah.
read this,
I
I
mean-
was sitting here thinking about it, and I'm like, after the James Gunn debacle, I know they're not like they're gonna wait on this one. Like I just knew Disney was like, okay, we're gonna wait because all of Marvel right now is wrapped around.
Well,
Kane
plus,
and
I mean,
villain.
let's be honest. You have the double whammy of he is a black guy. It's like they're not. I'm sorry, but they're not. If this would have been Robert Downey Jr., they would have immediately come out and lambasted him, and they would have been like, "Well, but believe all women." That's immediately the route they would have taken. And I think you're right. That's why they're being more cautious. Is not only did she recanted immediately after the incident. Which proves like, okay, there's something
she's
going on.
terrified of him, and she doesn't want
Maybe.
repercussions.
Honestly, that could have easily been the angle
Maybe
that
he
I
paid
thought they
her
were going
off
to tell.
like Stormy Daniels.
Yep. And we already know Bragg's
Hush money.
Bragg's going to be all over that since it happened up in New York. Yep. Forget Orange Man. He's going after Majors.
Who'd you rather be punched in the face by, Michael B. Jordan or Jonathan Majors? Because Jonathan Majors looks like he's got
He's
some
thicker.
bulk.
I think
he's broader. Like I don't know.
I don't know, man.
But
I
Michael
wouldn't
B.
want to
Jordan
get hit
looks
by
like he
either
has
one of them.
speed, and speed's a factor. So
Jordan looks like he's got some hate in his soul. Like he could just level me,
Damien
man.
ain't got no hate in his soul.
No,
Damien.
Diamond Dame.
Diamond Dame.
Yeah,
That's right.
I just feel like Jordan would.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Let's
That
be
was a good
honest.
movie.
Both would level me.
Yeah,
I mean, I know both are gonna level
Yeah,
you.
both of them
Yeah.
would knock me out. But,
They'd hit you and I would feel it. Like that's
Shockwave.
yeah.
I mean, hell, he hit her in the face and cut her behind the ear. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude's nuts.
Gosh, Johnny.
Maybe he tried to bite her ear off like
What
Tyson.
are you doing? I didn't
He
mean to
has-
bite him. I had to bite him. That's all I said. I'm sorry. Look up that video.
It's so good.
Larry King, Mike Tyson, and the guy Evander Holyfield. It's
Yeah.
a great video.
Y'all saw the one I shared with you where he is like playing with that little midget guy, and he thinks it's a child.
Yes,
But it was that's a famous like
was it
TikToker
Abdullah
midget,
or,
Abdullah or whatever his name is. It was like a famous
He was
viral,
like,
and he was going, "Come here, buddy."
He was like, you know how like you ever blow on a kid? Like,
Yeah,
you
you blow
make
on their
the
neck
fart
and
noises
stuff.
on their
Yeah,
neck.
and
Yes,
he
he was going on this guy's neck. This dude's like 20-something years old.
You didn't watch that?
Have you not seen the
Oh my
videos of like Abdullah? He's like
Abdullah, like he goes up to people
he
and
has
he
a
fights.
disease. He looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's
he
a
looks
child,
like a child, but he's like
really in his
26
20s,
years old,
yeah.
and he's always you say something to him, he's like, "Come here," and he gets to like
It's
he
his
starts
whole
punching
shtick,
you,
yeah.
So he like comes up to Mike Tyson and starts punching him, and Mike Tyson goes, "Oh, come here, boy!" He grabs him and goes, playing with him like he's a little kid,
He's, like,
biting the
blowing
back
on
of
his
his
neck.
neck and biting his
I
ear.
mean, he probably
Oh my
sees
God.
him. It's like the dude's old enough to be his son.
He has
And
no
it's like-
idea that
I'm
it's
just like,
he
Mike
has no
Tyson
idea it's
straight
a
up
grown-up
thinks this
adult.
guy-
He thinks it's a little
He's
boy.
like, this is some like 5-year-old kid. in
Yes.
his mind.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. He's young enough to be his son, so it's like I can see it.
Well, the other guy on the show knows that this dude's 20
Yeah,
and
he was
he is
laughing.
dying laughing
He's
because
like-
he knows.
Wait, do they ever
Mike
reveal his
Tyson
age?
just humiliated
I didn't
him.
see. It was a clip. I didn't see the whole show. I
I
have to
don't know
go back
about the whole show.
But yeah, he shared the clip
But they
in the
said
text. and it's
Tyson had no
hilarious.
idea that it was that
It's a
this little guy
grown-ass
comes
man.
out and he had
He's
no
over
idea.
here, yeah. It's like I swear, it's like how I'd play with my nephew. I was like,
Yeah.
this dude's like sitting
Come
here
here, boy.
fondling this 28-year-old guy.
Blowing on his neck and everything. Oh, it's so good. All right, anyway.
All about the
I
pigeon.
love Mike Tyson.
It's
I didn't
pigeons.
even mention he's been Majors is not still behind bars. He's been released on
yeah,
his own
yeah. We
recognizance.
should have. We
Yeah.
should
I
have probably.
mentioned-
Yeah.
He's
It was
out,
brief.
He's out terrorizing the city again. So watch out,
Yeah.
Jonathan. Don't carry any loaded pistols around Alec Baldwin.
Oh,
He'll shoot early.
He was in a Western.
he can knock
you know.
him out.
He
Yeah.
was in that
Jonathan Majors can take out
that good Netflix movie. What was that called? I forgot.
Was that one of his first?
It was in the
roles?
Black Western Netflix
Oh,
movie.
Oh,
yeah,
I do
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
That
yeah.
Con it. What
he
was that?
He was
one?
the star.
I'm forgetting the name of it. It was the woman directed one.
Was it? I
think
think the
so.
woman directed it.
Dang
I thought it was
It might have been.
Ava DuVernay.
Do that and
I
bring
thought
up a
Ava,
movie and
Ava
then we-
DuVernay directed that.
I haven't seen
Selma.
it. Sean keeps
Selma
saying
director.
it was a good
Oh,
movie.
it's good. Oh yeah, with Idris Elba and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's got all the good ones.
The
in it.
harder they fall.
harder they fall,
That's it.
yes.
The
That's it,
harder
yes.
they fall.
Check that out.
That's
I'm
good.
pretty sure that's directed by
I'm
Ava
getting
DuVernay.
there.
It's a John Wickish, Kill Bill-ish kind of
Western?
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
great.
I know all of I know the outlaws in the movie are based on actual African American outlaws that
See,
existed in the West.
It's one of those names, just like that.
The director was The Bullets.
What?
The Bullets.
The Bullets.
There's plenty of
What?
those in the movie. So
Yeah.
Is she even in the movie? Am I making? I don't know why I thought she was attached to this
Zazie
project.
Beetz is in the
Ava
movie.
DuVernay.
Never mind. I
I'm trying to
totally
see
made
who
that
The
up.
Bullets is because obviously that's a stage name. I don't know. Maybe their parents. James Samuel. Thank you. I
That's
still don't know
not-
who that is.
Well, it could be a woman today, but that'd sound like Ava DuVernay's name. So
Who is The Bullets? I don't even know. I don't even know if I believe. I went to IMDb
mean-
and got James. The Bullets is what
It's a good movie. Either way.
Wikipedia says.
who were the
and I'm just
directors
like,
of
I don't know.
Everything Everywhere? The Daniels.
Daniels.
The Daniels. Yeah. So maybe they're brothers.
He's a British singer and songwriter, James Samuel. That's it. So his stage name is The Bullets.
Okay. Okay. All
Coming
right.
at you.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Bullets.
know. I saw that and I was like, I'm so confused right now.
Yeah.
Number
okay.
one with a bullet.
Like a bullet, ma.
Bam!
That
Straight to the
brown-
top.
That brown sound sure do get around.
Which is why I thought it was silly that they actually made him black in the remake because it's like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of
Of him being
of
being a
him
funny
being white,
line.
like the
Right.
fact that everybody thinks he's black until they meet him and he's not because
Yeah.
his music sounds. I was like, okay,
Can't be. You got to be PC all the way.
Oh, cold chill.
But no, I think it is. Oh gosh, there was. Oh yeah, no. The title of that movie is one to forget, just like that
the harder they
stupid.
fall.
Yeah, just like that. What is it? Anne Hathaway one. With
Oh,
Ben Affleck. All
the
he
last,
ever wanted.
the last thing he ever wanted.
The last thing he ever
wanted.
That was, talk
Yeah.
about a
That movie was
terrible
the last
movie.
thing I ever wanted to see.
It was god awful.
It was terrible.
And we only remember it because we butchered the title.
What
so
has
many
Ben
times.
Affleck done to himself? He had a little
He's
bit
just
of
screwing J Lo.
but
That's all he cares
What was
about.
the one where he was drunk coaching basketball?
the way back.
That one was,
that was not good either.
not
it
good,
was
but it was
okay.
okay.
It wasn't bad, but it's like his
Very
career has
cliche.
been.
Yes.
It's like at the top with Good Will Hunting, and then he just kind of.
Hey, The Town.
And then
Come
well,
on,
that's
he
what I'm
said
saying.
Hey,
some
we
good
got
ones.
we got
But I'm
Air
saying-
coming out.
But then he came back as
Air's
a
coming
director,
out.
and he did The Town and Argo,
true.
and they're okay. What's Air?
Air's the Michael Jordan movie with him and
with him
Matt
and
Damon.
Matt Damon.
Oh, I remember
Matt
the Michael.
Damon.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember the movie. I completely forgot Ben Affleck was involved with that. I remember
They're
Matt
both
Damon.
in it. They're
Yeah.
teaming
I know.
up again.
I
yeah.
remember. Yes,
He's playing Michael Jordan.
probably. No, that wouldn't. They would never. No.
I know.
Actually, that's what I
I don't know where I was going with that
It's
one.
been great to see all these memes of people. It's like everybody's appropriating. 'Cause they're like, well, you could change the color in the Disney movie. What do you mean? What's the big deal? And then they're showing like Greta Thunberg in blackface, and they're like, Greta, the story from Netflix. And it's so good. It's so good.
Okay.
Anyways, all right. I guess we'll move on to our unique weekly segment.
You serious, Clark?
Yeah, I'm serious. All right. Moving on.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
I just realized that wouldn't work
What wouldn't work?
because Greta Thunberg is white.
Yeah,
So that
You said she was in blackface.
but there was a
Yeah, but it wouldn't work for the point I was making.
no because
Yeah,
the
now,
white person.
have you guys heard now that you
yeah.
can digital blackface? You can get in trouble for digital blackfacing
Yeah, when you meme.
when you use a meme of a black person.
Yeah, CNN released that article.
Yeah.
Like if I send you a meme of like Stanley from The Office.
Yeah,
like-
that's
Yes.
wrong. That's
yeah.
blackface.
I did that on
digitally.
Twitter.
But what if I relate to the emotion
Doesn't
Stanley's
matter.
making?
You can't
Because-
relate to black emotions.
Why can't I
no.
relate to black
Because
people?
that's
I like black
racist.
No.
people. Well, gosh, I guess I'm racist for
It's
liking
like
black people.
One of our favorite memes to use is that. That is our favorite meme at work.
Well, what I loved is that throughout the whole thread, that's all white people
That's
were
crazy
doing was
that you hit
posting
that
black
button.
memes.
I mean,
That's actually we do. We
Oh, you use
share
that-
thoughts.
Well, I mean, I
Yes.
used it because it's a
Yeah.
it's a black
There's a good
movie. I
meme.
mean,
There's
it's
a good
good
meme of
movie.
that though from Friday,
telling
and
you,
we
it's-
use that in our Teams chat all the time. And I'm like, I'm using it. I don't care if I'm white.
They're trying to divide us.
That's the only diverse one you have on here. Where's Show Me the Money? Did you get rid of that one?
Show me. the
No,
money.
it's on the second page.
I'm looking.
You never go to the second
It says
page.
I'm on the
Quan,
second
don't it?
page.
Show me the money is on there.
Do you see Show Me on the Money?
It should say money.
Show Me on the Money.
Is that it?
No, he went back to the first page.
I don't know if it's on there.
Show me
There
the
it
money.
is.
Show money is what.
We
it
got
Show
two.
says.
money.
We
Show
got two.
money.
I can only put so much text.
You don't
on
have
there.
any Asians though.
It's not my money. It's show money.
I'll put everything everywhere on there.
All right.
I haven't done that.
What
one yet
story?
today.
I like.
This
I like the
time
story
is good.
time.
You came up with this.
Yeah.
One. This is a good one.
Oh, the man who pooped when he tried.
Yeah. That sounds like the last thing he ever wanted. The sequel.
You know, I was
Like,
sitting in the shed.
it's
I was like,
great,
what is
'cause
something that
it's-
sounds like a ridiculous title, but it could be legitimate?
It's highlighted in brown.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I was like, what sound like you just like a man called odd, just something random that like there's they just movies do that now, or they have like this oddly descriptive title, like the last thing he ever wanted. It's stupid.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
So
stupid.
but I wanted it to be stupid, so I was like the man who pooped when he tried. So,
I mean, that's very descriptive.
Yeah.
Tells you everything you need to know. All right, no, we're talking about the first place you drove when you got your license.
Yeah.
home. I said that in the
He's
shed.
like home to
I
watch
did.
Netflix.
That's
I
it.
went home. I didn't have Netflix back then.
I was grounded.
To watch something.
I think that's crazy.
Go get your license and get home.
We existed in a time before Netflix.
Get your
I
license
think-
and get home.
I think I did run to. So I'm trying to remember. Like I thought my mom asked me to go to the store for something, but I don't. Like I honestly just don't remember. I don't remember much of. I know going to and from school,
That's
and that's about it. I drove to Brandon's. I didn't drive a lot of places until I got a little bit more.
I'm more dependent on
Oh,
you
wow.
to drive because
Brandon wasn't allowed to.
No.
So
I could. I
he
got
wasn't
my
really allowed
license,
to
but I
ride
didn't
with
have a
me
car.
either. But he just did things.
Well, that was to school. My parents refused to let me get a car to drive my senior year, and I asked them. I said, "Well, what if I saved up enough, bought my own, and I even paid for while working, I paid
Yeah.
for the insurance on it?" And they said no. They were
So
like,
he said, "I'm not going to bother buying."
You're
a car
under their
then."
roof.
well, then, I ended up buying something that I think was more valuable to their credit. I mean, it was kind of in hindsight, it wasn't really what they planned, but it worked out better, which was an iMac.
Yeah.
And then it got stolen.
And then I got a better one.
It was all downhill from there.
That's right. But no, Sean, what about you? I haven't revealed mine yet, but I'll go last.
Oh no! When I the day I got my driver's license, that evening, like I went back home and got some stuff together and everything, but then I immediately went to my best friend's house and picked him up, and we went cruising the Dirty Dozens.
Dirty
The
Dozens.
Dixie Dozen movie theater. So it was nighttime, and we were, driving around the parking lot, checking out the girls and
Hey.
doing
I'm pretty
all
sure
that.
I went and met up and hung out with some people. I just don't remember.
I had Thump in my trunk, so we were driving around with the music playing, and had the bass.
See, because my birthday's in July, I would have been out of school. I'm pretty sure I probably drove and hung out with you and Neil, because that's who I hung out with.
I mean, I don't remember if you did.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember. Like that
Because
was
it would have been. Well, here's the weird thing. It would have been 6
guess that
months
just-
after you had your permit, so it would have been in January sometime.
Oh, that's true. It wouldn't have been in July. I don't remember.
Because I know mine was actually, it was my sister and brother-in-law's wedding day.
Nice.
And I had driven, obviously, to prep for getting my license.
Say, can I drive to the wedding? And your
No.
parents were like, no.
It actually was not even that interesting, but I felt like it was an adult opportunity, a moment. It was a moment of puberty. So
That's all you ever had
Actually,
was a moment of puberty.
that's a terrible way to put it.
Brief
It was one of those
a
moments of becoming a man. So no, what was it? We had to leave
I
from
don't
the
know if that
church.
made it better.
It didn't. We had to leave from the church and go to. It was just like right down the road. It was Rockford Lane Baptist, right down the road to the
I live by
Holiday
there.
Inn. That's not even.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Nope, not even there anymore.
wow.
Yeah.
And I had to go. I was filming the wedding, so I had to go back to the hotel to get them entering.
You got to drive.
No, my dad drove us down there, and then after I got a few shots and them entering and the first dance and everything, my dad was like, "Hey, we got to go pick the other car back up because we had both cars at Rockford Lane." So my dad drove me over there, and because I remember telling him, I was like, "Well, I can drive it back," and he was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I'm licensed, Dad. It's like I can drive now."
Yeah.
He's like, "All right." So he drove me back to Rockford Lane.
Nice.
And I drove from there to the hotel, like a couple stoplights down the road, and
Yeah.
I felt like my driving cherry
Hey, a
popped.
couple stoplights on Dixie Highway that's like war.
That is.
And that was even before the death median that they put in since. But yeah, that was a moment. I remember that very vividly, and I was like, "This is the first time I'm driving by myself with no one else in the car as a licensed driver." It was pretty cool. That was about it.
Okay.
And then
Wow.
there we go.
I know when I went to get my license, like my dad drove there, I drove there because I had a permit. He went with me, but I mean, it was so I would have gotten my license, and then we would have both driven back to the house.
it was
So,
weird.
The instructor
but,
picked me
but,
up.
but,
Yeah,
but by
same.
myself,
I drove, yeah.
like by myself, I went
I did
straight to the Dirty Dozens.
Cheeks driving school, and they actually on multiple occasions had picked me up after school to take me out and test drive. Plus, I drove with my dad. My dad mainly taught me
Yeah.
because my mom was scared to death. But he would
Same.
teach me on like Saturdays and Sundays, and then throughout the week there were a few times where the Cheeks driving instructor would come and pick me up at school after school, take me around. And then she was also the one that came and picked me up and took me to the actual place to take my test.
Oh wow!
So it was
I
actually
didn't
it
have
worked out.
anything like that.
It was pretty cool. So
My dad taught me in the church parking lot,
yep.
and I knew how to drive a stick
Oh,
before I went to get my license. So I
Nice.
took my test with a
with
manual.
a manual.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's real driving right there.
Yeah.
That's how you really get it done. Yeah. And did y'all pass on your first time?
Oh yeah, like I was even I didn't even have to parallel park. I pulled up, I started backing up,
Wow.
and he goes, "Nope, you got it. Pull on out." Like he knew I had it, so
See,
he just
mine
said,
was
"Pull
like
on
I
out."
think like halfway through, so there wasn't any avoiding it because it's like that was like the middle thing. So like,
Yeah.
granted, I mean I did it all. I passed. There's no problem.
Were y'all
Both the
nervous?
Permit and yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely.
Same.
I remember because they had and it's designed so.
My sister failed twice.
Oh
I
wow.
was more worried
I know a
about my
couple
hands
people
being
that
in the
failed.
right spot because I was like, they wanted you 10 and 2, you know, and I was just like, nobody drives like
No,
that.
for
Old
for
women.
me, what ticked me off because what made me more nervous was at the start, and I hate the way it's set up. It's like when you come out, like they have like where you get your license. like the crosswalk in front. You're supposed to stop to make sure nobody's coming.
Yeah.
But they have these big brick walls beside, like,
You can't
the cars,
tell.
and you can't actually see. So I did stop, which is what you're supposed to do, and I was looking the best I can because you can't actually see behind these walls. And I start moving forward, and sure enough, some people start going. So then I stopped, let them go, and I was pissed because I was like, "Dang it, that's going to be a point off." And the lady was like, "No, that's not your fault. You did the right thing. It's just you can't see." So like she didn't ding me for it.
That-
I was like,
that's actually-
I appreciated it because that's like literally. You can't see.
Yeah.
The parallel parking was the one that made me the most nervous, and of course that was the one that I think everybody was nervous about because you don't want to hit the whatever. I forget what they even had set up, but it was
Cones.
funny because the cones though
Or
were
sawhorses? I don't remember.
I think it was sawhorses.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because the thing is looking back, I do remember they were so far apart.
They are.
That if you hit one, you'd have to be way off.
I always thought that. Like, parallel parking made me nervous too, but I had it down, so I was like, okay, I think I got this. And then when you pull up there and you see these things like 2 car lengths apart.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not 2, but it was probably a good 1.5 car lengths apart. And
It's
I'm
not
like,
practical at all for what real parallel parking is.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well.
But-
But then you find people that did fail, and I'm just like,
And then
Not
But
to knock
usually
people.
it's the parallel parking that people fail.
yeah,
And I mean
they
that
hit
was
a horse.
that was just that. Yeah, I pulled up. I started
got it.
backing up, and I cut it to put the rear end in the spot.
Yep,
And he
and
says
then-
I can tell you got it. Just go ahead and pull forward. He didn't even make me finish.
That's awesome.
you don't have to necessarily hit the horse. If you hit the curb too, you fail.
Yeah.
Like in the parallel park.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to
I'm
hit the
glad
curb.
I didn't know that. Would have made me more
Yeah.
nervous.
Yeah, because if you're in real life, you're not supposed to hit the curb when you're parallel parking.
It's like I'm gonna hit, if I hit the curb. I
There
didn't
could be
just
somebody
cause-
standing on that curb and you just hit it
That's
and
right.
killed them.
That's true. That's true. They could be dead. But no, I think the other thing was that I remember going in and they print off your photo, and of course it's horizontal for
The permit.
the first 2 years.
Yeah.
No, this was for the license. I had
before you
Not
turned
mine.
21,
16,
yeah.
and then 18. I think it was 18. No. I had to get another one at 18, but then they turned it vertical at 21.
Yeah.
It was like I had to get a different one
remember
for
that.
18, and
I thought your learner's permit was tall, and then when you got your actual license, it was landscape.
it might have been for you, but for
Yeah, I'm
us,
old.
you're a little older than
Yeah.
us. Well, now it's even different because now they have
now they have to wait longer.
a
Yeah.
graduated license period of like
Yeah.
a year or 2 years
Yeah, no.
till you are 18.
That's crazy.
You can't drive with anybody like under a certain age in your car.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be like
Under
other
20,
adults.
under 25, because
Wow.
25 is the age for insurance.
That's insane.
Like you can't be insured on a car or something
Yeah, that
until
is, a
you're.
little, that is a little much.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because there were definitely. I mean, well, especially going to school, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's like because that was the thing. I mean, the senior
I
parking
mean, I
lot
get
was
the
always
point.
full.
They're trying to prevent, kids from killing each other in mass by like having a bunch in a car, being jackasses, but I mean, I don't know. It's like the more rules we make, the less fun we're allowed to ever have in life.
well, what it always ends up doing is inhibiting the people who actually follow the law.
follow the
Yeah.
law. Yes,
So
that's the
you're
problem.
doing it for
You-
safety purposes, but
Yeah.
it's like no, you're only doing that for the very obscure amount
You
of people
punish
this
the
affects.
you punish
Yeah.
the people who are already following the laws because the ones that
Kind of like with guns, right?
yeah, huh.
Yeah.
How
Because,
full circle brought that full circle.
Share the load.
That's right. Alrighty, guys, I think that's gonna do it. What about you? Do you have a license story? What was your first time driving? What do you think?
yesterday
Was it hard? Were you
killed 8
nervous?
people.
I actually passed the written and the driving test first time.
I did too.
My sister, I don't think she failed twice. I think she failed each one once.
Did you have the Kentucky driver's manual, like the
Yeah.
actual book?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. They it was weird though because when I went in to take the test, it was like a touch screen.
Yeah,
Like it was
you type
multiple
in-
choice.
Oh.
And I remember thinking it was like
It
I was
easy.
gonna
Yeah, I
fail.
did not do
That
a
is
touchscreen.
easy.
It was very.
I
easy.
never read the manual and I still passed.
Same.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
called
I-
common sense.
I think if
It
you know,
is.
like, if you actually learn, if you learn the rules of the road, then you know the rules of the.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well,
it
and
is.
so much of it practically came about. Like it. Honestly, it's like studying in school back when you're in the midst of it. You're nervous
learned
about the
practically
stupidest thing.
better, so-
But yeah, it's like when I'm on the road and I see a sign and I'm like, okay, I can easily tell what this sign is referencing.
Yeah.
Like they're not meant to be like, we're going to trick you while you're driving.
It's like, are you
This
supposed
is
to
a
stop?
real test.
Yeah. Are you supposed to stop here or do you gun it?
That's not a caution arrow.
Oh.
That means stop now.
Yeah, obviously they're
Like-
designed to let you know, hey, no. So.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's supposed to be very like you catch it in a glance as you're passing by.
And they get like, I don't know. Like, I understand getting nervous and failing, but I knew a few people that like failed like several times, and I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe you just don't need to be on the road.
You know what's crazy nowadays are the amount of people, adults, that I have heard of that are like over 20, 21 years of age and do not have a license.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
It's insane.
Yeah, there is. I know quite a few, and I'm just like, why do you not?
And they even have the ability. I think once you pass 21, you don't have to do anything, but
Yeah.
you just go down. There's like a 30-day like you have to take
You still
the
have to
written
do the test, but yeah.
30 days, and then you can take the
drive.
drive, and then you're good. Like it's not even a big to do, but
they'll
they just,
walk or they'll take the bus, and
Well,
I'm
they,
like, man,
you know, they don't want to get married either.
Right.
That's true.
Just they don't want to
that
grow up.
lack of
There's
exactly.
there's no aspiration. I always thought it's.
I'll just
I
take
do-
the Uber. The Uber guy has a driver's
Everybody-
license. I don't have to do it.
Didn't everybody when you were that you wanted
That
to
was
drive?
the thing.
Oh, of course.
Well, that's the thing.
License to drive. I mean, come on.
You
There's a
wanted
movie
to drive.
about
You
it.
wanted to be on your own. Like I'm saying, there are no no aspirations, no goals. People have no drive to be better than anything sitting. I mean,
Just
they,
want to
have no
sit on my
drive.
phone.
they just they just want to, you know.
I'm gonna call a Lyft.
If they can just
I'm gonna
sit,
have my
sit
food
in their
delivered.
basement for their whole lives and do nothing, I guess they're happy. I don't
Everything
know.
comes to me.
I mean, that's what I do, but
Yeah.
at least
Work
I had
from
enough
home.
aspiration to get a job and pay to sit in my basement and do nothing.
True. Right. You own your basement.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not renting
I
it.
paid to do what I want to do down there.
I don't know what that.
And I do what I want to do.
so I can do nothing. He's like, I do what I want to do down
It's
there.
like I pay the government to leave me the hell alone so I can sit in my basement. That's what I do.
Hey,
Alrighty, guys, that's gonna do it for
America.
this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in. We appreciate all the love and the support you all give us each and every single week. Right there at the bottom of your screen is all of our social media accounts. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the
Yeah.
bell icon for notifications.
Bells
Soon,
and whistles.
one day, that Red Moon Productions there from YouTube, that's going to be replaced with Rumble. We're going to do it. We're changing. We're changing things. That's right. But
right.
search for us on Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Picks, and of course, for right now, Red Moon Productions. You can still find all of our content and even this show on
Yeah.
Rumble.
Yeah.
It will post later. It pulls all of our YouTube content.
Get ready to
But
rumble.
we're definitely on there. Follow us. We appreciate all the love and support on there. Thank you all so much. Until next time, there's another way you can reach us. It's an old-fashioned way, but Keith says it best.
Can I have the Let's Get Ready to Dumbo on there? Because that would be amazing.
Gosh, I didn't even think about it.
That would just be amazing.
Greatest-
It wouldn't. It'd be
greatest
another one
Disney
that we would
remake.
never have a moment to actually use. I would just
Get
I would
ready
just,
to Dumbo.
I would just spam
So
it. I would
bad.
spam it like the Star Wars ones. Sorry.
Oh.
If you vote, do you want us to spam the Dumbo thing or not? How do you let us know by emailing us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
There it is. He can add
raspy. That was raspy
It
too.
was.
Wow.
Oh, she
here she
knows.
comes.
It's been so long.
Oh, your belly feels wet. What have you been doing?
Whoa. She's
Oh.
been licking herself.
Whoa.
She's been down there licking herself.
She's got a hot spot down
Hot
there.
spot.
Come here,
Licking
pup.
that hot spot.
What's she doing? There she is.
Hot.
She's ready to go.
Yep.
We're in an early, pup. Come on.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank y'all so
Dumbo.
much. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham.
he did it!
Oh, what?
He did it! Oh my gosh, it's a miracle.
Share the load.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.